Many Old England and Scotch-Irish traditions have survived in America, particularly in the deep, recessed mountains and hollows of Appalachia, where British and other settlers introduced language and customs that still exist today. Tangier Island in Virginia and Ocracoke Island in North Carolina are known for retaining unique dialects of English that sound similar to 17th and 18th century British English due to the island's historical isolation. The BBC this year even reported on this curiosity with an article, "The U.S. Island That Speaks Elizabethan English." It was in 2001 that a good army buddy of mine asked me, what is this phrase I was continually using, used to could? As in, I used to could run 12 miles. Well, I never thought the phrase strange, but upon pondering it, I realized that indeed it wasn't proper English. But it's a quite common phrase, still used in Appalachia, where I was born and raised. James Webb wrote an excellent book that details this legacy called Born Fighting: How the Scots-Irish Shaped America. Turns out, Webb in his book captures that phrase as one the Scotch-Irish introduced to the New World. But one of the more fascinating legacies of English heritage is with the story I'm about to tell you. Around 1400 in Old England, a monk at the Abbey of Bury St. Edmunds wrote down what became the only surviving text of a Christmas carol called "I Sing of a Maiden That Is Matchless." The song was a Middle English lyric poem or carol of the 15th century celebrating the Annunciation and the virgin birth of Jesus. The memory of the song was lost, but the monk's copy was found during the Victorian age and revived. Fast forward to 1933, Kentucky composer John Jacob Niles was traveling Kentucky collecting old folk tunes. Unless you are a folk music aficionado, you probably have never heard of Niles, but he is known as the Dean of American Balladeers and was an important influence upon the 1960s folk revival and artists such as Bob Dylan, Joan Baez, Burle Ives, Peter, Paul and Mary, and others. During World War One, Niles transcribed songs he heard sung by African Americans and by fellow soldiers. He studied music in France after the war, toured Europe with an ensemble, sung at the White House in 1938, and appeared at the Newport Folk Festival several times in the 1950s. Niles composed "Go Away from My Window" when he was just 16 years old. It is a hauntingly beautiful song. Several artists recorded or sang it. The University of Kentucky later established the John Jacob Niles Center for American Music. As a collector of traditional ballads, Niles made an amazing discovery in 1933. While near Mayfield, Kentucky, he heard and noted down and later published a song called "Sing We the Virgin Mary."
Sing we the Virgin Mary, sing we that matchless one.
Scholars discovered that the song so resembled the original 15th century carol, "I Sing of a Maiden That Is Matchless," that its likeness could not be coincidental. The New Oxford Book of Carols calls it a, quote, "near miraculous survival," unquote, of the original song, albeit, of course, over 4 centuries there were changes to the tune. What led scholars to this determination? Both carols are about Mary's birth of Jesus. Both carols' opening stanza call Mary the Matchless One. The second stanza of the 15th century version says, "As dew in April falleth on flower so tenderly." The Kentucky version, as dew in April that falleth on the grass. And so silently came our Jesus unto his sweet Mary, which became, he came all so still to his mother's bower, and so on. I regret that copyright prevents me from playing both in their entirety. They are beautiful carols. And so is this story of a carol's survival, albeit with change, in the New World through pioneer families. It's quite remarkable how old European traditions and songs themselves survived the rugged Appalachian frontier, and remarkable men such as John Jacob Niles deserve great credit for the preservation of history.
Hangman, hangman, slack your line.